Hello and welcome. You're now looking at Mailchimp.com. Mailchimp.com is a platform for those who want to manage their email marketing using both broadcast as well as auto responses. Mailchimp can also be used as an integrated platform with your cloud-based services. The design is like most internet service providers, where you are going to be able to deliver your email and within parameters expect that it will actually reach the inbox. The platform is used by both small players as well as large institutional players. As stated, there are direct application integrations, as well as direct partnerships that Mailchimp has with cloud-based services. In this course, we'll walk through the setup of your account as well as the use of it in order to build an email marketing list. And so we'll start that process in the next video. Welcome back. Now, it's important to note, as of the recording of this video, that Mailchimp is offering more than just email marketing services as it traditionally has done. The company now offers website building services to compare itself to Shopify and Squarespace, offers website building and hosting to compare itself to GoDaddy, and offers analytical services to compare itself to HubSpot. And so you'll want to take this into consideration when you start looking at plans and before you start to evaluate. Having said that, what we're going to do now is we're going to click on this link that says pricing. Now, as of the recording of this video, if you are not paying for a plan, you are by default on Mailchimp's free plan. Now, that free plan allows you up to 2,000 contacts and one audience in order for you to use. If you choose to move up from 2,000 contacts or more than 3 audiences, audiences is another word for list, you can pay an additional amount at its lowest tier. You can move up from that tier in order to have more audiences or more contacts. Now, to determine your exact cost, you will need to look specifically at the calculator here at the bottom of the page. So for example, if you were to choose the Essentials plan and you were to have 500 contacts, that would put you at the lowest amount for that tier. However, if you were to have more contacts, the price would go up depending on how many people you'd have within that tier. And the same would be true for the other tiers. You'll have a tier price, which is a minimum amount, and then that price will go up depending on how many people you have as contacts. The one factor to note is that if you are managing clients and those clients are using Mailchimp, you can act as an agency with a specific account within Mailchimp. And to do that, you will need to join a specific aspect of the site called Mailchimp and Company. Now currently, Mailchimp and Company exists as no additional cost to whichever plan you currently have with Mailchimp. Now the account, for the sake of this course and this video, starts at the free account where we're using a fraction of the available contacts available. Now one of the other things you'll want to note is that the free plan allows you a minimum number of individuals that can receive your emails. So for example, if you have 352 contacts and you were to send this group of contacts between 30 and 40 messages, you may come close to running to your limit in terms of sending. So it may be a good idea to start with a free plan until you determine that what you're going to need is an upgraded plan to get additional features, or you run into some kind of limit imposed by your account. Welcome back. Now when we come to the dashboard, the first thing we're going to do is to go to this bottom left-hand corner and we're going to click on the icon for our settings. We're then going to go first to our profile settings. And you're going to notice 4 tabs: Overview, your Settings tab, Billing, Extras, and Integrations. And if you want to change anything about your basic information, this is where you are going to do it. You can also update notifications so that you receive notifications using your mobile device as well as your email. We're now going to go to the Settings tab. We're then going to go to the details. These are details in terms of how you experience Mailchimp in your account. One thing that you can do in Mailchimp is manage any automatic replies. You can reject automatic replies to any of your campaigns and then save that here, or you can leave this unticked. It is unticked by default. We're now going to go to the Users tab. And if we want to give others access to our account in order to help us to manage it, we can do that here. You'll notice here that you can do this if you have a paid account. We're now going to look at the Security tab. This is where you have control over two-factor authentication for your account. We're now going to look at Contact Information. It's here where we can update email addresses and anything pertaining to the email in our account. In the Domains tab, it's here where you can authenticate a specific email domain. So if you're going to be emailing from a specific domain, you can enter that domain so that you can have it verified by Mailchimp for use with your account. So for example, we can click in Verify Email Domain and then write in a specific email address. We'll then click Send Verification Email. You'll then have an email from Mailchimp you can click to verify. And your domain will then be verified for use with your Mailchimp account. Now, if you're going to be using your domain in order to work with the landing pages or the website builder inside of Mailchimp, you can connect your domain here at this point. We're going to skip this step in this video. You can also manage the data that you have inside of Mailchimp. And what you can do is you can export all of the data into a file so that you can use it in another platform or in some other capacity. And you can also pause and or delete your account. Your billing tab will have your billing plan, your history, and any credits that you might have. And you will need API keys when you're doing specific integrations. You can get them from the Extras section. And finally, there's a tab for integrations. This is where you can find specific cloud-based integrations with Mailchimp that you can use with your account. And typically, when you click on one, all you need to do is to click the Connect button. Welcome back. And when you look to the left side, you are going to see a tab at the top, and that will be your dashboard. That'll take you back to this general section. The next tab down is going to be where you're going to be creating emails. Now, we're going to skip over that tab right now at the moment. We're now going to go to the Audience tab, and we're going to click on it. Now, what Mailchimp calls an audience in other internet service providers is called a list. And this is where your contacts for your various mailing lists will be. You'll see here in the tab on the right side that you have a menu that says Manage Audience. You'll see choices that you can make in order to manage a specific audience. You'll also see here on the left-hand side a number of things that you can do with the audiences that you already have. You can also view a specific audience. So for example, if we use this drop-down menu and we click View Audiences, you'll then see your available audiences. And it's for that reason that the Create an Audience tab is grayed out. So for the sake of this video, we are going to click on this tab and we're going to delete the audiences. We're then going to click Delete. We're then going to click Delete. And we are being told by Mailchimp that we cannot delete this particular audience, mainly because we have contacts that have come into this audience within the last 7 days. So in order to create an audience, we are going to need to upgrade our account. And so we're going to go here to this link. We're going to click Upgrade Now. We are going to choose the Essentials plan and we're going to click Upgrade. And now that we've added a payment method, and we're now going to click on Create Audience. We're going to give the audience a specific name. We're then going to want to write in a default from email address and a default from name. We're then going to set our campaign URL, and we're going to use one of our verified domains. Now, this is something that your customers are going to see. And so you're going to write in a message to them when they come to a page and they wonder how they were subscribed to this particular mailing list. You're then also going to write in how your recipients can contact you, as well as your website URL, and then you'll click Save. Once you've done that, you will then have a brand new audience to use as your mailing list. Welcome back. Now that we have an audience, we need to work with the settings. And so we're going to go to the Settings tab inside of the audience that we just created. And we're going to want to configure these settings. Now, the very first tab is going to be the audience name and defaults. That's going to bring you to this area. And you're going to have two settings right at the top that are going to be very important. One is going to be to enable double opt-in. This basically means when you enable this, that you are going to send the individual a confirmation when they first join your list. And if they click that confirmation in their email box, they'll then become part of your email marketing list. This is the most conservative way to build an email marketing list, because if an individual confirms, it means then that they had to initiate the process to become part of your list. This is your proof that you added people to your list only with their permission. What you can also do is enable the CAPTCHA. What this means then that you won't have a situation where you have an automated system adding people to your email marketing list. Mailchimp gives you some other customizations. What you can do is you can set it up so that you can send what's called a final welcome email. This means then that when an individual opts into your audience, you can have an email sent to them with a special welcome email. In order to enable this, you're going to tick this box. You can make it so that individuals can choose whether they're going to receive plain text emails or HTML emails. You can also make it so an individual receives a confirmation if they were to unsubscribe. And if so, you're going to tick off this box. And you also have here new subscriber notifications, so you can find out in real time how your list is growing. So you can have an email subscription notification sent to a specific email address, in addition to an unsubscribe notification, or you can receive a daily digest. Once you determine all of those settings, you can then click Save Audience. Now, the next tab in your audience settings is going to be your GDPR fields and settings. And you'll want to make sure that GDPR is something that you are going to need to enable for your marketing and or for your email purposes. Typically, if you're not going to be working with individuals in the EU, you will not have to enable GDPR. But once again, this is going to be something that you're going to want to determine separately from what you're doing with your email marketing. Now, the next tab down is going to be the publicity settings. You can also find them here. And basically, this is a way of giving your readers the opportunity to view your email in their web browser in case they can't read it. Now, Mailchimp does have this ticked by default. If you don't want to have this option, you can untick it and then save your publicity settings. Now, the next tab down is going to be for your merge tags. And this is a way of being able to take the information that you collect on your sign-up form and to place it inside of your email. Now, by default, you are going to have an email address, first name and last name merge tag given to you. However, if you collect more information, you can also place that information inside of your email for all of the individuals that are going to be signed up to your email marketing list. The next tab down is going to be your required email footer content. There is a permission reminder, which is the phrase that you wrote in, reminding individuals how they became part of your email list, as well as how recipients can contact you. And again, this is going to be required by law for you to have in your email. Inside of your audience settings, you're also going to have an email beamer address. This will give you the capacity to create an email and then have that email sent to your Mailchimp account through your email address, and that email will become a draft email. You can add in your Google Analytics tracking ID. And finally, Mailchimp does have webhooks available, which is a more advanced concept from a technical perspective, but it is available to you if you use them in your current configuration. Now, these are things that you do want to make sure that you have configured before you start adding contacts and before you start working with your email. Once you've worked with your settings and you have configured them properly, you're then ready to begin adding contacts as well as creating sign-up forms and the other features inside of your Mailchimp account. Welcome back. Now that you have your audience set up and configured properly, we're going to start adding contacts. Now, one way to add contacts is to go to this tab and then click Add a Subscriber. What we're going to do now is we're going to place the contact information of the individual subscriber inside of these dialog boxes. Now, in most cases, you will not be collecting addresses or phone numbers, but if you needed to for a specific purpose, you could do that by indicating that inside of this area. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you indicate the correct designation for the person that you're adding. Mailchimp wants to make sure that you have permission from this individual in order to email them. Assuming that you do, we're going to tick that box. What we're going to also do is we're going to indicate that if this person is already inside of your audience, all Mailchimp is going to do is they're going to take the information that you've placed in here in order to update their profile. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to click this box, even though we know that this individual has not been added to the audience that we have set up. One of the things you can do is identify individuals inside of your audience by creating specific tags. So for example, we can click Create a Tag, and we can create a tag based on how we came to know this individual. What we're going to do here is we're going to click Create New Tag, and then this individual that we are adding to our audience, we will have them designated with a specific tag that we can use in other places inside of our account. What we're now going to do is we're going to click Subscribe. And so this individual has been added to our audience. Now we can also add contacts to our audience by importing them from a CSV or an Excel file. And to do that, we're going to go here to this link that says Import Contacts. And once you come here, Mailchimp will tell you how to format the CSV or the text file. And basically, your CSV file will be formatted so that you have a column for email addresses, the first name, and then the last name. You also want to make sure that you have the columns titled appropriately, just as you see them here in this example here in Mailchimp. What you can also do from this page is you can download the sample CSV import file from Mailchimp, and you're going to click this link. Now when you get the format, you're going to see columns that you may not be using. So for example, you may not use the address or the phone number. What you can do here is you can delete these columns. So basically now what you have here is you have your column title, first name and last name, and you're going to write in the names and email addresses or copy and paste them from your file into this sample document. Once you do that, you want to resave the file as one you are going to be uploading to Mailchimp. Once you've done that, you'll come back to this screen, you'll click Continue to Upload, and then you will browse for your file. Once you do that, you'll click Continue to Organize. That'll bring you here to this area. You'll then select the audience you want to import to. You'll then click Update any existing contacts. And what you'll then do is you will then continue to the tagging area. You can then create a new tag, or you can use one of the existing tags that you already have. Once you do that, you can then click Continue to Match. Once you do that, you'll then click Complete Import. Now, for the sake of this video, we have archived one of the contacts, but what we have now done is we have now imported new contacts into our audience. Welcome back. Now, another way to add individuals to this specific audience that you have set up is to set up a sign-up form that will reside on Mailchimp.com. You're going to see sign-up forms here on your left side menu. We're going to click on sign-up forms here. And then you're going to see that you can then create a form using the form builder. And to do that, we're going to click this button that says Select. And what we're going to do from this screen is build a basic sign-up form. We're going to scroll down just a little bit, and you'll be able to see in real time what your form is going to be while you are designing it. What you can see here is that this sign-up form will allow you to collect names and email addresses. Now, you can give your subscribers a preference so that they can choose to receive either plain text or HTML emails. However, you can leave this unticked, which is unticked by default. Once we've done that, we can scroll down and we can start to build the basic form. Now, in most cases, what you're going to want to collect will be the email address, the first name, and last name. If you want to add in things like an address or phone number, you can add those things in. As you can see here, these things are going to be hidden by default. Now, for the sake of this video, we are going to leave these things hidden. What we can do here is we can write in a message so the individual will see a header when they encounter our sign-up form. That's going to take you to a WYSIWYG editor, and you're going to write in what you want the header to be. And so you can use the editor as you see fit. Once we have the basic form, what we can do is we can design the form by clicking on this button. And if we want to add color to the form, if we want to add other aspects in terms of design, we can do that here. Once you complete your customization, you're then going to see your sign up form URL. You're then going to want to copy that URL and place it in your browser so that you can test it. You'll then be able to confirm that your form is working correctly. So it means then that you can then give individuals this URL in order to sign up for your email list. Welcome back. Now, one thing you're going to see specifically associated with the audience you have created is a feature called Inbox. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to click Inbox. And basically, this is a way of managing the replies that you may get to the messages that you're going to be sending within your audience. Inbox will tell you when someone is available to you online. And it is a way of replying and consolidating all of your replies. And the conversation is not one way. You can also initiate a conversation within Inbox with a specific person in your contacts. So what you want to do here is take a look at your Inbox settings. You want to determine which name you're going to reply from. What you can also do is you can make it so that this address will handle replies from all of your campaigns within your account. You can make it so that you are notified within your browser. And if you want other users to be notified when you get a reply, you can indicate that here. Once you've done this, you can then click Save. So what we can do here is click Compose New Message. And we can then determine who we want to send a message to. You are using Mailchimp, so you can add in an opt-out message. You can then click Send Message. That individual will then see an email in their box. They can then reply directly. And we're going to click Send. Now, you will see that response in your inbox inside of Mailchimp. However, that will not be instantaneous. As you can see, the gap in time between messages is about 6 to 7 minutes. Once your inbox is set up, you can then set up a contact form from within your audience tools. So if you come back to this page and you go to your contact form and click select, what you can do is you can create a different form, which is a contact us form. You can customize the form. For example, you can set an image here. You can change the wording in any of these fields, and you can customize any of the other information. Once you've completed this, you can then click next. What you can do then is then click next. You can then create a custom tag, and you'll then add that custom tag, use the tag, and click Save Tags. Then when the individual fills in your contact us form, what will happen is they'll be tagged with a specific designation that you set up. You then have your form URL. What you'll then do is you'll then publish that form, and you can then use this URL now to serve as your contact form any place where you want to collect information from an individual that wants to get in contact with you. We can then test our form. We'll then click Submit. And you'll then see the name in your contact information of the individual that used your contact form. Welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to go to this tab in your audience section called the Preferences section. And you're going to notice here that there is a Preferences Center that's already available. Now, one of the things that you're going to want to note before we get started with this process, that is, if we go to get rid of or delete this Preferences Center, we will not be able to do it as of the recording of this video. Now, this may be an improvement that Mailchimp makes in the future. However, as of right now, when you create a Preferences Center, this is the one that you'll have to edit and use if you're going to use one at all. You're going to want to note 3 different things. You will not be able to use your Preferences Center if you have a GDPR-enabled sign-up form. The other thing is that this Preferences Center will replace the Update Profile form that an individual will see when they seek to either update their profile or unsubscribe from your email messages. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into a different audience. What we're then going to do is go to our Preferences Center. You're then going to see a button that says Start Building. That's going to bring you to a customizable form. Now, this area at the very top is a header. So when we click on top of it to customize, you're going to see the Replace button. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be replacing that text with a specific image. So for example, if we click Replace, what's going to happen is that Mailchimp is going to look inside of your Content Studio where you either have image files or files that you will use. Now, you have available to you a space within Mailchimp to keep your logo. So you can take this opportunity to click here and then upload your logo. And assuming this is your logo, you could use that logo there in that area. So if we clicked on this button, we clicked Insert, what you're going to see here is then that image will then become part of your updated Preferences Center. We can click on top of here again, click the Replace button. We can then use stock photos. We can then use this specific image. And you'll see then that this image will then be part of your updated Preferences Center. Now, in order to change the wording that you see here on this page, what you can do here is you can click right on top of this text and you can add in text that you'll want the individual to see when they're updating their preferences. And once you've customized the form, you can then click Publish. You can then choose to use a specific Mailchimp domain, or you can use a custom domain for your Preferences Center. Once you have determined that, you can then click Continue. Once you've done that, you can then click Publish. And your Preferences Center will then be published. Welcome back. Now within the Audience tab, you also have the ability to create surveys. What you can do here is to go to this tab that says Surveys. And you can click on this button that says Create a Survey. And you can use the survey creator to both work with the individuals in your audience as well as add individuals to that same audience. We can click on Add Questions, and we can then click on Add a Question. And we can add in several different kinds of survey questions. So for example, we can use one of the available methods here. We can use a checkbox, which will allow the individual to select multiple answers from a list of options. For the sake of this video and example, we are going to click that one. And we're going to write in a question. And then we're going to write in some options. We can then hit return to add another option. Again, we can hit the return button. And we have several options available to us with this kind of question. So for example, we can make it so that certain questions are going to be required. And then we can make it so that we can toggle other options. We can then edit or name our survey. We can then click Save. Once we've added in the questions, we can then design our survey. So we can add in our branding. For example, we can add in a specific image. We have our logo available. We can add it. We can add in any custom messaging. And we can add in a different style. Once we have created the survey that we want, we can then click Save and Close. And we can customize our survey. And when we are ready to begin using it, we can then turn on the survey. We can then copy the survey URL, and we can also view the survey page. And we can see what the customer or prospect will see. Now, obviously, one of the reasons that you set up your survey with your autoresponder is you want to make it easier or more reasonable for an individual to sign up for your email list. So what we're going to do now is we're going to edit our existing survey. And we are going to add in a question. This time, what we're going to do is we're going to add in an email question. We're going to give the individual an opportunity to ask us a question. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to click on this button, and then we're going to give them the opportunity to ask us to be subscribed to our newsletter. So we're going to add that question to the survey, and then click Save and Close. Once you've added that question, you can then click View Page. You'll then be able to see your question, and then the individual will have the opportunity to write in their email address and then ask to be subscribed to our newsletter, and then submit their email address. Welcome back. Now the next tab down on the far left side menu is going to be your Campaigns tab. We're going to go into that tab. And this is where you are going to be able to create and send messaging to your contacts within your audience. So you're going to start the process by clicking Create Campaign. Now Mailchimp has a number of options available for you to start this process. For example, if you just want to start with messaging, you can click on Email, and that's typically where you're going to be working within this tab. You can also map out an entire customer journey, and this is going to take more than one message and is more integrated. You can integrate and design your own email template so that when your contacts get your email, they will get a branded appearance. And you're going to see a number of integrations in this tab. Basically, what you want to start by doing in order to message the individuals that are part of your audience is to click this tab. What you're then going to do is you're going to give this email campaign a specific name. You're then going to click Begin. Now when you come into the screen, you'll notice that this is going to be a draft email form. And what you can do here is you can stop the process at any time in order to finish your email later. But we're going to start this process by adding specific recipients. And it's from this point that we can add in a specific audience. Now, when we operate in this manner, what we can do is we can use specific tags within that campaign. This means then that only the individuals that have this specific tag will be sent an email when we write this message. Now, one thing that we can do is to personalize the To tab. So for example, what we can do here is click this area. So what we can do here is we can add in a specific tag, and we can say we want this to be to the individual's first name, or to their last name, or to their first name and last name. Or we can customize the merge tag. We're going to leave this as first name. Once we've completed our To section, we can then click Save. We'll then move on to the From section. And typically, this is going to be based on the email addresses that you have associated with this specific account. We're going to click on Edit Form, and we can use a specific name and a specific email address for individuals to reply to. So what we're going to do right now is stop the video here, and we're going to pick it up from writing the subject. What we're now going to write is the subject line for the email. So for example, we're going to click on Add Subject. Now, this is going to be something that your readers are going to see. So we're going to write in a subject that we know they're going to want to hear. You can then write in preview text that will appear in the inbox after the subject line. Once you've done that, you'll then click Save. You'll then be ready to design the content of your actual message. We can then click Design Email. Now you'll have a number of choices available to you, which you can brand or even leave unbranded and use the templates given to you by Mailchimp. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a plain sample text. Now what you can do is you'll notice here is that when we hover over these areas, that Mailchimp has placed blocks within our email canvas. We can delete all of the blocks that are currently there. And what we can now do is we can add in blocks that we want to be there. So for example, we can add in a specific block. Once we've added it, we can then write in our content. You can then use your editor to style the content. And once you've done that, you can then click Close. You will then have added content to your message. You can then preview your content. And you'll see how it's going to look on desktop, on mobile, and then in your inbox. What you're going to do then is close out of preview mode. You'll be back in editing mode. And basically what you can do is you can add in blocks for what you want to place in the email. So for example, you may want to place a video inside of your email. You can place a block here. And what you can then do on the right-hand margin is to customize your block. If you don't want the block in, you can delete it. If you want to add in something that is a product recommendation, you can add it in. If you don't want the block in, you can delete the block. So basically, what Mailchimp gives you the opportunity to do is to create a message from scratch and then to add other elements into your email according to what you want to place inside of the message. If you want to add in images, you can add them in. Or if you want to add in an image along with text. Once you've added in the blocks that you want, you can also style your email. You can style it with a specific header, a specific footer, or any mobile style. You can switch templates if that is what you prefer. So basically you have full customization over the elements inside of your email. Once you have completed your customization, you can then click Continue. Now there is some final processing that we're going to be doing with this campaign email. So what we're going to do is stop the video here and we're going to pick it up from those post-processing elements. Welcome back. You're now looking at a copy of a similar campaign. And basically, if we scroll down to the area where you can share your campaign link, one of the things you're going to see is that you can add any post to your social campaign. Now, what you're going to need to do is to make sure you're logged into your Facebook account, your Twitter account, and your Instagram account, and then you're going to connect them to your Mailchimp account. Now, these accounts are already connected, and so once you've connected them to your Mailchimp account, all you'll need to do is to turn them on for an individual campaign. So, for example, if we were to click this link, you'll see here that our Facebook account is now connected, and so we can choose a specific page that this post will be shared with when we hit the Publish button. Once we do that, we'll then click Save. We can then click on Twitter. And then we have our message. We'll then click Save. We can then click on Instagram. Once we turn on Instagram, we'll turn on a specific profile. We'll then click Save. And then our post will go directly to our Instagram account, our Twitter account, as well as our Facebook account when we schedule or send the message. You'll also notice there are some additional settings. You'll need to work with these to determine which ones you are going to want to have for each individual campaign. Now you'll notice that these are already turned on. Typically, these will be turned off by default. So we're going to turn them off again. Now one thing to note is that you'll notice that Google Analytics link tracking is not available, and that's mainly because Google Analytics was not enabled with this account. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click Save. What we can now do is click the Schedule button. We can now schedule this for a specific date and a specific time. And our campaign is now scheduled. Now we could go back to that same campaign, and basically what we can do is we can pause and edit that campaign. We'll click Pause, and instead of scheduling the campaign, we can send that campaign right now so that it becomes a broadcast email as well as being posted to our social media. Welcome back. Now we're still working with a specific audience. What we can do is create a campaign. If we click the email campaign, which is typically what we're going to be using, you will have noticed that you can also send an automated campaign. We're going to click this tab. And you'll notice here that there are several kinds of automation emails. And these are emails that will be sent automatically based on a customer's behavior. So for example, you'll see here that we can have a specific email sent to a subscriber when they are tagged. We can have a blog update sent to them automatically. When they become new subscribers, we can have them welcomed. We can also say happy birthday. So there are several different kinds of automation emails. We're going to start by looking at subscriber activity. Typically, what you want to happen is that when someone becomes a new subscriber, you want them to be sent a specific welcome email. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Create Automation Email. And we're going to call this a specific campaign. We're going to call this Single Welcome Email, but we can change the name and make it whatever you want. And so we now have a specific welcome email. We're now going to select a specific audience. And then we're going to click Begin. Now when you select the welcome email setting, you'll notice then that Mailchimp sets this up so that the email that we are about to create will be sent automatically as soon as an individual becomes part of our email list. And so all of our settings that we have, we can edit them if we want to change them. For example, we may not want our welcome email to say thanks for joining us. So we might want to edit the statement. So we'll click Save. Of course, we will edit and design our content, but assuming that you know what you want to write, we're going to leave this as it is. Now this is the simplest automation email. What we're now going to do is we're going to start sending this email so that as soon as someone becomes part of our video tutorials list, they will be sent a specific email. We're going to click Start Now. But now let's assume that what we want to do is we want to follow up with those same individuals. So we're going to create another automation. And we're going to stop the video right here and we're going to pick it up from adding in a follow-up email. Welcome back. We are now within our automation screen where we want to create a follow-up email. What we have now done is we have set up so that all of the subscribers that join a specific list, they're going to be sent a welcome email. What we want to do now is we want to make sure that they receive another email after a certain period of time has passed. So we're going to now click Custom. And we are going to call this a specific campaign. We're now going to give this campaign a name. We're going to select a specific audience. We're then going to click Begin. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that there is a specific trigger. And this campaign is going to start one day after the person has been added. So what's going to happen is that the person is going to get the welcome email as soon as they join. And then one day after they've joined, they're going to get this second email. We're going to make sure that it's scheduled on any day of the week. We're not going to make sure that it's filtered by tag. We just want to make sure that when the individual is signed up with the list, one day afterward, they're going to get a specific message. And then we're going to not add in any post-send actions. Now what we could do is we could make it so that it becomes 2 days, or 7 days, or even 1 week. So we have full customization over the trigger date. Once we've done that, all we need to do then is to make sure that our email is going to be written. And so we're going to write in the identifying information. We're then going to click Next. We'll then choose our template and then write in our content. Once we've done that, we can then click Next. Once we've done that, then Mailchimp will ask us to confirm that we are ready to start our campaign. And basically now what's going to happen is that 1 week after the individual has received that welcome email, they're going to receive another email with a message that we want them to receive after the fact. Now it's possible that we may want to send another email or another series of emails after this one to the same audience. And we'll cover that in the next video. Welcome back. Now before we confirm and start the new series, what we want to do is to go back one screen from this follow-up campaign screen. And you're going to notice another link here, and it says add another email. So we can add another email to this series, to this audience. We're going to click add another email. And basically we now have another automation email. So what we're going to do now is we're going to design this email. First, we're going to determine the trigger. And we could state that this email is going to be another week after the previous automation email. So in other words, what's going to happen is that an individual is going to get a welcome email. Then after 1 week, they're going to get another email. And then they're going to, after another week, get the email that we're setting up right now. We're now going to update the trigger. And now the trigger has been updated so that it says 1 week. We're still going to leave all the other emails in place. And basically, this is now the second email in our series. Again, we're going to design our email in order to go out to say what we wanted to say. We'll click Design Email, and then we'll write in our identifying information. And we can do this as many times as we want to add emails. We'll then click Next. We'll then see the campaign, and we'll then click Start Sending. Now this email is going to be in a section called Workflows. And knowing where the workflows are is important, because it could be that once a campaign has started, we may want to come back to that campaign. We may then want to edit that campaign. We may then want to come back and then add in another email and set it up for a specific time. Welcome back. Now Mailchimp does have a website builder, and you're going to see it on the left side menu. It's going to be right under the Automations section. You're going to click on that section. Now basically, you're going to be able to build a website. It's going to be hosted by Mailchimp, and it's going to be on a site that has a domain associated with Mailchimp. Now obviously, their intention is that you would purchase a domain name through Mailchimp in order to connect your website that you're building here. What we're going to do is go through the process of building out a site, even though we're not going to technically connect a domain name as you might ordinarily do. So we're going to start by using the name that we would use. We're then going to click Next. We're then going to choose an audience for our website. And it says here that Mailchimp wants this to be so that when visitors sign up for our audience, we are going to connect them through emails, ads, and social at this specific website. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Edit My Site. What we can do is we can start the process by previewing the default setting. And this is what you're going to see from the start. And this is where we're working inside of Mailchimp. You can see it from the desktop and from mobile. We're then going to click Exit Preview. So what we can do here is we can start with the pages. And what we can do here is we can then edit this home page. And each section we can actually edit. So for example, if we want to place in a background image, we can do that. We can grab a background image and then insert the background image. And that then will become our background image. So basically, we will then have a basic site. We can add in elements to the site, and we can have our subscription form for our site. We're then going to click Done. What we can then do is add a page, or we can go back and we can just publish our site. We're then going to click Accept. What we can then do is to connect a specific domain. Now, of course, you can work with the site as much as you want in order to use it. What you can do here is purchase a new domain or to connect an existing domain to your website. Now, in some cases, what you may want to do is to connect a subdomain. So for example, we are going to connect a subdomain. We're then going to click Submit. Now, in order for this to take place, we'll need to connect this to our CNAME record at our domain. So we're going to need to copy this area. Now, this process typically takes over 24 hours. So you'll need to set this up with your domain name company and then wait for the process to propagate. Welcome back. Now on the left side menu, Mailchimp has what it calls its Content Studio. If you click that link, you're going to be shown this area. And the first tab is going to be for what they call their Creative Assistant. And so basically, what you're going to do here is you're going to put in your URL. And then once you put in that URL, what Mailchimp does is it automates designs based on your brand as it's shown on your website. We're going to put in our URL. We're then going to click Show Me the Designs. Mailchimp's AI will go through this process and then generate images and artifacts for you. And once you see it, you can explore more designs based on what you have posted inside of Mailchimp. You can then go inside of the design library, and you can make changes and edit your existing designs. The Creative Assistant also has within it its brand kit, and it tries to figure out what your colors are so that you can then add more information to your designs into your creative library. Also in the content area, you'll find that you'll have your logo and all of the other images that you use inside of your emails. Mailchimp also pulls in a number of your Instagram images. So basically what the Content Studio does is it gives you assets based on your brand and elements that you have uploaded based on that brand, as well as what the AI can determine is part of the brand of your website. And also included is your Instagram account. Welcome back. Now on the left side menu, you are also going to see an area for integrations. And basically, any of the cloud-based services that you're going to be using and connecting to Mailchimp for the administration of your emails, you're going to be able to manage them here. So for example, you'll see here that we have already connected our Facebook and Twitter account to Mailchimp. And we can click on top of that integration, and we can manage that integration here in this area. So for example, if we want to choose a different Facebook page, we can do that. If we want to disconnect this Facebook account, we can do that here. And same thing is true obviously for our Twitter account. And you'll be able to manage that Twitter account here. From here, you can actually connect your Google Analytics account. So for example, you can click Google, and you can then click Connect. Once you've done that, your Google account will then be connected, and you can then begin using your Google Analytics account. You can connect your design services. You can connect your event management services, such as Eventbrite. And so to connect from this area, you can click on Eventbrite. You'll then click Connect a New Site. You'll then need to allow Mailchimp to connect to your Eventbrite account. The application will then be connected. You'll then click Next. You'll then select a specific Mailchimp audience. And once we've connected our list, we can then click Finish. And our Mailchimp account will then be connected to Eventbrite. So you'll want to determine which accounts you use and if you can use them with your Mailchimp account. Finally, we can work through the integration process one more time using Canva. Now we are already logged into our Canva account, so we're going to click this integration. What we're then going to do is we're going to click Connect a New Site. You'll then go inside of your Canva design editor. You'll then look for Mailchimp. You'll then click Connect Mailchimp. You'll then need to put in your Mailchimp information. You'll then click Connect. You'll then authorize Canva. Now what you can then do for this specific design is you can save this design to your files inside of Mailchimp so that you can use them when you are working on your emails. Now if you use other applications, you are going to want to test them here. In some cases, you may need to have Mailchimp integrate with a system that you are using, but you don't see it among those that Mailchimp integrates with directly. When that's the case, you'll need to look for third-party cloud-based connectors, and Mailchimp works with three. One is Zapier, which is the oldest and perhaps the most well-known, but there is also Automate.io as well as Workato. And in order to determine if the application that you work with works with either of these three automated workflows, then you'll need to do a simple search using your favorite search engine. Doing that will typically show you what Mailchimp integrates with and whether the application that you're using works together with Mailchimp. And you can do the same thing with Automate.io as well as Workato. So what you'll want to do is to determine which integration system you're going to work with, and then which cloud-based connectors you need in order to work with Mailchimp. And then you'll want to find out, using a search engine, how they fit together. Welcome back. Now there's one final aspect of integrations that needs to be discussed, and we'll find that inside of our settings. What we're going to do is go to our account settings. Now in many cases, you may be asked to provide an API key in order to integrate with a cloud-based system. In order to do that, you're going to need to find your API key. You'll need to come inside of your account settings. You'll need to go to the extras area, and you'll then need to go to your API keys. You'll need to come down to the page, and then you'll need to click Create a Key. Now, we're not going to make the key visible, but you would copy that key and use it then inside of your application. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see all of the applications that are authorized to use your Mailchimp account or that you connected to your API key. So we have now walked through the entire basic menu of Mailchimp. And we have also created an audience, we've sent a broadcast message, and we've set up an automated campaign. You are now ready to begin using Mailchimp as your email list manager. Hello and welcome. Now that you understand how to use Mailchimp in its most basic form, you can now undertake more complex processes in order to accomplish business purposes. And to do that, one of the first things you're going to need to do is to get your Mailchimp mailing list to the people where your products and services are sold. This will mean that you want to get it onto your website. So we're going to go first into our audience. And then what we're going to do is to go into our sign-up forms. When you come into the sign-up form, what you're going to see is that you have a form builder, you have embedded forms, subscriber pop-ups, and then form integrations. So assuming first that you want to place an embedded form into your website platform, what you're going to be able to do is create a specific form and paste it into your site. And so assuming that you are going to want to have a basic form, getting email address, first name, and last name, and then to use that form inside of your website platform, you're then going to want to get this entire code. So all we'll need to do is to grab this entire code and then copy it, and then head into our website platform. So we are now inside of the website platform Teachable, where you can create online courses. Now what's not important is the particular platform. You can use Teachable as a substitute for any website platform where you have the opportunity to place custom HTML. Now what we're going to do is just place the custom HTML into the block where Teachable allows this. You will need to find the website builder or the platform where you can place custom HTML code so that you can place your Mailchimp code into that area. We're going to click Custom HTML. We're then going to click Add. Once we do that, there's going to be a space where we can paste the code, and we're going to paste the code here. Once we do that, we can see the form in real time. And in Teachable, all we would need to do is to click the Publish button. In this case, we're just going to click the Preview button. And you'll then see that our form will be available to the individuals inside of our website platform. In this website platform, again, Teachable, the concept is the same in the curriculum area. All we'll need to do is to click Add Custom Code. And then we'll just add in the custom code. Once we pasted in the code, we can click Add Custom Code. We can then preview that custom code, and we will see our form inside of the curriculum area. Now, once again, what's important is not the platform and that this is Teachable. You do not have to have Teachable in order to create a course or to create a website in order to place your sign-up form inside of the area. What is important is that whatever website platform you choose to use does give you the opportunity to place HTML code someplace inside of the way it operates. Now we can go back to our sign-up forms. And one of the things you'll notice here at the bottom is that we can create a Facebook form where we can collect names and email addresses from those who are on our Facebook page. And to do that, we're going to go to the Integrations area. When we get to the Integrations area, we're going to click on our Facebook integration. Now, for the sake of this video, we have already gone through the process of connecting our Facebook account. We're going to click that integration. Now, if you haven't connected your Facebook account, you're going to want to walk through that process. Now again, you're going to want to be logged in when you initially connect your Facebook page. If you've already connected your Facebook page, you'll want to test the connection to make sure that it's still working. You'll notice that ours is still working. So what we're now going to do is we're going to select a specific Facebook page. Once we do that, we're going to select a specific audience in our account. And because Facebook is now connected to our Mailchimp account, we will now be able to see all of our audiences and we'll be able to choose one to make it available. We'll then need to choose whether we want to have a sign up form tab, and we are going to say yes. It is typically going to be deselected by default. If we want to use a specific theme, we can do that. And we're going to choose a Facebook-esque theme. We can then designate what we want the tab to say. You can write in whatever words you want to be here. What you're then going to do is click Save. What we now want to do is to go to our Facebook page. And now that we're at our Facebook page, we're going to go to our tabs. And you'll see the tab that we just created. We can now click on that tab. And what we see here is that we have a theme consistent with Facebook now on our Facebook page. Let's assume then that what you want to do is you want to make this more consistent with your other forms. So you're going to go back, change this to your regular theme as you have it on Mailchimp. We're going to resave that theme. We're now going to see that our page tab is now updated according to Mailchimp. We can now go back to Facebook. We're now going to refresh this page, clicking F5. And we now see our page in a more recognizable format. Now, if you use a website builder like WordPress, you can also use the embedded forms inside of WordPress where you would use the custom HTML. However, Mailchimp does have an integration with WordPress. So for example, what we're going to do here is go to the Integrations tab. If we come to this Integrations tab, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see that it does integrate here with WordPress. We're going to click that integration. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select a specific audience. We're then going to click Get Code. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this entire code. Now, depending on your configuration of your WordPress site, this is where you're going to have to test a few methods to see which will actually allow you to use your Mailchimp code. Typically, what you're going to do is to go inside of your theme and your theme editor. You are going to get a warning from WordPress. In this case, we're going to follow the instructions and we're going to place this code before the closing header tag here inside of WordPress. We're then going to update the file. Now, once you've placed the code, you're going to need to come back to your Mailchimp page and then click Check Connection. Now in this case, our connection is successful in integrating Mailchimp with WordPress. So what we can now do is we can integrate a pop-up form here on our site. We're going to click the button that says Try It Out. Now obviously you're going to want to design your form. We're not going to spend the time working on the design element. What we're going to do is we're going to enable the pop-up. And we're going to enable this pop-up on our site. Once it's enabled, you're going to want to check your success message. And you'll notice that because we have double opt-in enabled, our subscribers will not see this particular success message. We can then preview our form. And we can see what it's going to look like on both desktop and mobile. And what we can now do with our pop-up settings is that we can determine when we want this pop-up to display. And we can set it so that it displays after 20 seconds. We'll then save and publish the form. We'll then click Save and Publish, and our pop-up is then ready to be used. Anytime you want to change the function of this pop-up form, you're going to come back here, and you can change the function here by determining when the individual is going to see the form. And we can repeat this process using this page by adding in another site. Now if we just want to place a traditional form on our WordPress website, we would use the more direct method. That means then that we'll go back to our audience. That means that we'll go back to our sign up forms. That means then that we'll go to our embedded forms. What we'll then do is to get our same sign up form, we'll copy it, then we'll head to our WordPress website. We can then either paste our code inside of a post or page. In this case, we're going to add a new page. We can give this page a title, or we don't have to. That's not what's most important here. What we're going to do is place our code in the text area. We're then going to click Publish. What we can now do is to view our page. And we can now see our page. What we can also do is we can add the page to a widget. So for example, if we want our form to appear on the sidebar, we can then add in custom HTML. And that's typically what you're going to want to do for all of your pages. And all you'll do here is you'll slide in your custom code. You'll then paste in your code. You'll then click Save. What you'll then do is click Done. What you'll then want to do is to go to one of your post pages, and you'll then see your sign up form here in the sidebar. Now what you can also do is you can add in your code to a regular HTML page. Now you will need an HTML editor in order to do this, and you'll need to have an understanding of how HTML works. However, this is possible to add your code to a regular page. And so what you would do is to go to the place inside of your HTML page where you want to add your opt-in form. And so for example, if we place our cursor here, we'll find the place inside of the area where we want to add the code. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in our code in this area. And you'll see here that now our code is part of our HTML page. So what we've now done is we've integrated our Mailchimp account into our web platforms. Welcome back. Now one of the most important things you're going to be doing with your audience is that you're going to want to connect your autoresponder or Mailchimp to every transaction that you do, so that when a customer purchases, you want to make sure that they are added to your email list so that you can continue to market to them. Now Mailchimp does have some direct integrations. Have direct integration with Stripe, so that when you have a Stripe transaction, you can have that individual added to a specific list. Or when an individual makes a purchase from Eventbrite, you want to have that individual added to a specific list. And the same is true if you're going to conduct a transaction with Square or with WooCommerce using WordPress. However, you may have an existing infrastructure in terms of your shopping cart as well as your payment system, and you may not want to change to these particular platforms in order to add people to your Mailchimp list. Now, if most of your activity takes place on WordPress, you can do some of that activity by adding in a WordPress plugin. However, looking at the WordPress plugins, there is no easy way to connect to WordPress for a direct transaction, especially if you're using a specific shopping cart. Now, if you're using a website platform like Teachable, you can connect your Mailchimp account to Teachable directly. And so to do that, you're going to go into your integrations area of your website platform. You'll click on Mailchimp. And what you'll see here is that what Teachable wants you to get is your Mailchimp API key as well as your Mailchimp list ID. Now, to get the API key, we're going to go into our account settings. Then we're going to go into the extras. When we get to the extras, we're then going to look to our API keys. And we're going to create a key. We're going to copy that key from Mailchimp and we're going to add it here to our Teachable account. Now, Teachable also asks us to get a specific Mailchimp list ID. Now, what this means is that for this particular school inside of Teachable, you will be adding people to a specific Mailchimp audience or list. That means then that we're going to have to come back to our audience and we're going to have to look to our audience settings. Once we're here, we're going to then look to our audience name and defaults. You're then going to see an audience ID. You'll typically see this written in a red letter. And so we're going to copy this audience ID. And once we enter this audience ID here into Teachable, every student that is enrolled in a course in our Teachable account will then be added to our Mailchimp list. We can undertake the same process inside of a similar course platform such as Thinkific. And all we'll need to do is to go to the similar area, which is Integrations, and we'll look for the point where we can connect our Mailchimp account inside of Thinkific, and we'll click Connect Account. We'll then be asked to log into our account in order to authenticate. We'll then need to allow Thinkific to talk to our Mailchimp account. Now, inside of Thinkific, we can then choose a specific Mailchimp list. What we'll now do is click Save. And basically what we now have is that whenever a student is enrolled in Thinkific, they'll then be added to our Mailchimp list. And so you'll want to go through this step whenever you're using a third-party cloud-based service. You'll want to look for an integration section. You'll then want to click to integrate into your Mailchimp account. For example, in this case, we'll click Connect Our App. You'll then be asked for your Mailchimp details. Now, obviously, the API key is grayed out. We'll just click Connect. So that means now that inside of this platform, if we choose this specific aspect, we'll then be able to access the list that we have already created inside of Mailchimp. You'll see this in the Academy Pro cloud-based system where you have an integration section. And once again, in this case, you are asked for your API key. Now, if you administer your products on your website using a membership plugin, you can connect that membership plugin to Mailchimp so that every time someone is added to your membership, you will then have that person added to your email marketing list inside of Mailchimp. For example, one such membership plugin is called Wishlist Member. You can use this as a proxy for other membership plugins. So what we're going to do is go inside of Wishlist Member and we're going to go to the setup. And now that we are inside of Wishlist Member, we are going to go to the integrations section. And what we can do is go to the email providers. When we get to the email providers, we're going to see that there are autoresponder connections available. One of those connections is Mailchimp. We'll see here that this integration is inactive. What we're going to need to do is to turn on this integration. What we're now going to need to do is to click Configure. And in the same way that you would do with a cloud-based service, Wishlist member is now going to want the API key from Mailchimp. What we can then do is to set up individual memberships. And now that Wishlist member is connected to our Mailchimp account, we can select specific lists within Mailchimp to be connected to specific memberships inside of Wishlist member. And so you'll see here that we can add in this specific list. And we can then click Save and Close. We can also connect to shopping cart services such as ThriveCart. We are now inside of our ThriveCart settings. And one of the things you'll notice here is that inside of the autoresponder section, you have a direct connection to Mailchimp, and you'll see it here. We're going to click View Settings. Now we are logged into our Mailchimp account, so we can now click this button that says Authorize with Mailchimp. That's going to take us to the login interface inside of Mailchimp. What we're now going to do is click Allow. So now we are connected inside of ThriveCart to our Mailchimp account. And so when we are creating a product inside of ThriveCart, we can go to the behavior area. We can click on Add Rule. What we can do is we can say that when the main product is purchased, we want to use Mailchimp. And then we can select a specific list inside of Mailchimp. We'll have them added to a list, and it'll be the list that we have designated from within our Mailchimp account. We can then click Save. And so now every time a product is purchased inside of ThriveCart, we're going to have that person added to a specific list in Mailchimp. It's possible that you may work with affiliate platforms such as WarriorPlus. And when you are creating a product within the WarriorPlus system, what you can do is you can connect to a specific service. So for example, what we can do is we can connect to a Mailchimp service. And once again, we are going to log in and authorize Mailchimp to connect to our WarriorPlus account. We're then going to click Allow. Within WarriorPlus, we're going to give this account a name. As we are working now inside of this account, we're now going to be able to connect a new service. We're going to select the Mailchimp service. And now from within WarriorPlus, we can select our specific list. Now it's possible that you may run into a case where you're using a system like JVZoo and there is no direct integration with Mailchimp, as you can see. That's the same problem that exists within Etsy, even though you do have one with Aweber. This is the case where we're going to need to employ one of the workflow automation systems such as Zapier, and we are going to look at that in the next process. Welcome back. Now in the last process we discussed not having a direct connection to platforms such as JVZoo, which does not have a direct connection to Mailchimp, or Etsy, even though it does have one with Aweber. Now when it comes to Etsy, it is important to note that you can connect to your own website platform if you build one inside of Etsy using their system called Patterned. However, if you want to use the marketplace at large, there is no direct integration or connection. But Etsy does integrate with Zapier. Now for some integrations, Zapier does suffice with a free plan. However, in some cases, you will need their starter plan in order to make some connections. However, you can try the service free, and you'll be able to determine, based on the cloud-based services that you use, whether you're going to need a free plan or a paid plan if you want to make an automated connection between those two services and your Mailchimp account. Now inside of Zapier, you're going to need to connect all of the applications that you want to use first to Zapier, and then you'll want to connect them to each other through Zapier. So we have already connected our JVZoo account to Zapier for the purposes of this video. We're now going to look to find out if JVZoo can connect to our Mailchimp account. So we've stated that we want JVZoo to connect to an app. We're now going to write in our Mailchimp account. Once we do that, we're then going to click Connect. Now there is an existing integration where we can add customers to a Mailchimp list from a JVZoo refund. Now that's a popular connection. We're going to choose our trigger. So we're going to go here, and we want the trigger to be a new sale within JVZoo. What we then want to happen is we want to have a subscriber added. Now if we hadn't connected our JVZoo account, we would need to connect it. And we'd need to do it by clicking this button that says Connect a New Account. And we'd need our JVZoo account API key. So what we're now going to do is click Continue. What we're going to do is choose a specific value. We're going to choose a specific product. And once we've connected our JVZoo account and our specific product, we're going to then choose a Mailchimp account. And so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to connect our JVZoo account. So we're going to go to this area and we're going to click Connect a New Account. What we're now going to need to do is to log in and authorize to connect to Zapier. We're going to need to allow Zapier to talk to our Mailchimp account. Now that our Mailchimp account is connected to our Zapier account, we can use it in any other connection that we want to make, even though we're only using it right now for this specific one with JVZoo. We can reuse this connection for any other connection we want to make within Zapier. And that's going to be important for future processes. What we're going to do now is we're going to select the use of that account. And we're now going to click Continue. What we're now going to do is select a specific audience. And we can select the audience that we have been working with. Now when we're working with Mailchimp within Zapier, we're going to need to go through a mapping process. And so you're going to see in some cases that some information is going to be required. In this case, subscriber email is required. So we're going to then go and get a specific subscriber email. We can then click Continue. Now what you will have done is you will have made it so that when an individual purchases a specific product in your JVZoo account, they will then be added to a specific list in your Mailchimp account. Now if you go to Zapier, you will notice that there is no direct connection from Zapier to the website Etsy. That means then that we will not be able to connect our Zapier to Mailchimp and Etsy using this integration. However, we do notice that there is a direct connection between Etsy and Aweber. So what we can do inside of Zapier is that we can connect Aweber to our Mailchimp account. Now this would mean that you would need to have access to 2 email service providers in order to undertake this. So if you are willing to do that, and you're willing to have someone added to a specific list inside of Aweber when they made a purchase inside of Etsy, we can then have that same person connected to our Mailchimp account. And to do this, we're going to need to both connect Aweber as well as our Mailchimp account. And so we're going to click Aweber. And again, what we're now going to do is we're going to write in our Mailchimp account. And so there is a popular connection between Aweber and Mailchimp that other people use. We're going to try the one that is existing, where we're going to connect new Aweber subscribers to Mailchimp as subscribers. Now if you have an existing Aweber account, but you have not connected it, you'll need to connect it. And you'll need to click this button in order to connect your Aweber account to your Zapier account. Once you've done that, you'll select your Aweber account. What you'll then do is click Continue. Zapier will then require you to choose the account as well as the list. Zapier will then have you test that part of the trigger before you move on to the next step. Once you've done that, you'll then click Continue. You'll then be ready to connect your Mailchimp account. And you're going to choose this particular action and then click Continue. You'll then select your Mailchimp account. Now it's important to note that if you had multiple Mailchimp accounts, you could connect them all to Zapier, and you can use different ones for different purposes. We're now going to click Continue. We're now going to select a specific audience. And what we've now done is we've now set up so that when an individual is subscribed in Aweber to that specific list, they're then going to be added to a specific list inside of our Mailchimp account. Now, if you recall, the connection that was made to our membership plugin goes only in one direction. That means then that when an individual is added to our membership, they're then added to our Mailchimp account. However, what if we want to go in the other direction? Meaning, if an individual is added to our Mailchimp account, we would then want that individual to be added to a membership inside of our Wishlist Member plugin. We could then accomplish this through Zapier. For example, we can click Make a Zap. And this time we want the trigger event to start with our Mailchimp account. And we want there to be a trigger event. And we want there to be a new or updated subscriber. What we then want to do is go to Continue. We then want to connect that Mailchimp account that we are going to be using. We're then going to click Continue. We're going to choose our specific audience that we have set up. We're going to click Continue. We're then going to click Test this trigger. What we now want to do is we want to connect a specific application, and in this case we want it to be our membership plugin, which is going to be Wishlist Member. And so we're going to click on Wishlist Member. Now this time what we want the action event to be is we want there to be a member added to a specific level. We then want to click Continue. We're then going to choose a specific Wishlist Member account. In this case, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to connect a Wishlist Member account. That's going to bring us to a dialog box. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do as instructed and go to this area inside of our WordPress website. That means we're going to come back to our setup, we're going to come back to our integrations, we're going to go to our other services, and we're going to find our Zapier connection. What we're then going to do is to turn on our Zapier connection. What we're then going to do is to get our Zapier API key. Well, now we need to write in that Zapier key as well as our Wishlist Member URL. We'll then click Continue. Our account is now connected to Zapier. So now what we can do is we can go and we can look for that specific Wishlist Member account. So now what we can do is we can go and look for that specific Wishlist Member account, then click Continue. What we can now do is set up a specific action. We're going to select a specific email address. We're now going to select a specific level inside of our Wishlist Member installation. And we only have one level, so we're going to select that one. We're then going to click Continue. So what we have done now is when an individual is added to our Mailchimp account, they're now going to be added to a specific membership inside of our Wishlist Member installation. So now that same individual that made a purchase from our Etsy account can now be added to our Mailchimp list as well as to our Wishlist Member installation. Now that you understand the basics of making a connection in a cloud-based connector such as Zapier, you can do educational marketing using webinar systems like Zoom and GoToWebinar. Now, these are just two popular systems. You can actually use whichever webinar system connects to Zapier, as well as connects your Zapier account to your Mailchimp account. So for example, let's click Make a Zap. And if we connect this Zap, what we're going to do first is we want to assume that the individuals that we want to do educational marketing with are already within our Mailchimp account inside of a specific audience. And so what we're going to do is we're going to choose our Mailchimp account. What we're then going to do is choose a trigger event. Now, there are several different trigger events within Mailchimp. There is when we start a new campaign, when we get a new subscriber, a new or updated subscriber, a new audience, a new subscriber within a segment or a tag, a new unsubscriber, a new customer, email opened, link clicked, or new order. So what we want to do is we want the trigger to be a new subscriber within a specific segment or tag. Now, if we were to look within our audience, you'll notice that we have specific tags associated with specific individuals. So for example, you're going to see one tag being used for at least 2 people that are going to be within this specific audience. So when we undertake this process, we are going to want to make sure to use that specific tag that we have already set up inside of our Mailchimp account. We're now going to click Continue. We're now going to choose our Mailchimp account. And we're going to click Continue. What we're now going to do is choose that specific audience that we have been using and the one where we already have a specific tag. So we're going to go to that audience. We're going to go to the audience that we have chosen, and we're now going to look within our Zapier connection to make sure that we can find the specific tag within that specific audience. And so what happens is Zapier is now going to look within our account. They're going to look within that specific audience for that tag, and we are going to see the tag that we want. So now what we've said is that when an individual is tagged inside of Mailchimp, we want that individual to then go through the next action. Because what we're trying to do is to have individuals that we are working with in Mailchimp to be part of our educational marketing effort. So we're now going to click Continue. What we can now do is test our trigger. We can now click Continue. What we're now going to do is choose a specific action. And in this case, we are then going to want to make sure that we choose our webinar system. For the sake of this video, we are going to start with GoToWebinar. Now you'll notice that GoToWebinar is considered to be a premium selection. So that means then that you will need to have a paid account if you were to use GoToWebinar as part of this educational effort where you're using Zapier. We're going to click GoToWebinar. We're now going to select an action event. Now, if you don't have a webinar set up within GoToWebinar, you are going to want to go to GoToWebinar and set up your webinar before you get to this step. And it's here where we're going to set up our event for the future. And we are going to click Schedule to schedule the event. And now that our event is ready inside of GoToWebinar, we can now go to Zapier in order to make that connection. So we're going to choose our event. And what we want to have happen inside of GoToWebinar is we want to have a registrant created for a specific webinar. We're now going to click Continue. We're now going to set up the action. So we're going to now choose a specific webinar. And we're going to choose the webinar that we want to have people added to. What we're now going to do is we're going to write in the rest of the data. Now remember, when we're using Zapier, there are going to be fields that are required. And sometimes those fields are required by the connecting application. So in other words, what's likely happening is that GoToWebinar is requiring this connection to come with a first name, a last name, and an email. So what we're now going to do is click Continue. So what we have is we have a situation where when an individual is going to be within a specific list and they are tagged, they will then be added to our GoToWebinar. So what we don't have is a situation where just anyone that's part of a list will be added to a webinar. We're going to have it so that individuals within a list, when they're tagged, will then be added to our GoToWebinar. That means we can undertake the same process as long as we have a webinar set up within Zoom. So let's assume that we're going to set up this webinar within Zoom. And we now have a webinar within Zoom that we have titled Mailchimp. What that now means is that we can create a Zap. And that means now that what we can do is we can connect our Mailchimp account. We can then set our trigger event once again for a segment or a tag. We can then click Continue. We can then choose our Mailchimp account. We can then click Continue. We can then set the trigger and the audience and the tag. We can then click Continue. Now this time for the action, we're going to write in Zoom. We're then going to click Zoom. What we're then going to do is we're going to select an action event. And we want to create a webinar registrant. We then want to click Continue. We then want to select an upcoming webinar from within our Zoom account. And we see the one that we have created. We then want to get the required information. And what we've done is we've now made it so that when an individual is tagged, they'll now be added to our webinar inside of Zoom. Now you already have a direct connection inside of your Mailchimp account so that your Eventbrite events will send individuals to specific lists inside of your Mailchimp account. Now everyone from this site goes to a specific list inside of Mailchimp, but you may want some flexibility in this process. So one way to create a more flexible situation is to click Make a Zap. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to start with the trigger as Eventbrite. So we're going to write in Eventbrite. And we want the trigger event to be that an individual has been registered with a specific event. We then want to click Continue. We then either want to choose the account that we have connected or we want to connect a specific account. So we're going to connect our Eventbrite account to our Zapier account. What we're now going to do is we're going to choose that account and then we're going to click Continue. We're going to choose the organization within Eventbrite. We're going to choose a specific event. We're then going to click Continue. We're then going to test our trigger. And what we want is the individuals for that specific event to be added to a specific list. And so we want to have that happen inside of Mailchimp. So we now want to do is to have that individual added as a subscriber and then click Continue. We then want to click Continue. We want that individual added to a specific audience. And we want to collect their email address. And we want that individual to be tagged specifically. Now again, we are not extracting the tags, we are adding the tags in this process. We are now going to click Continue. What we can now do is add an individual who has now been tagged into a specific area inside of our wishlist member account. So basically what we're going to do is to add in a step. We're then going to add in wishlist member. We're going to have the individual added to a specific level. We're then going to click Continue. We're now going to choose our wishlist member account. We're then going to click Continue. We're then going to extract the email address, and we can choose based on what we're setting up. We can either have the individual based on our Mailchimp account, which is what we want, and then we're going to choose to have the individual added to a specific level. We're then going to click Continue. And lastly, we can go on to have this individual added to our webinar. And all we'll need to do is to add in another step. And we'll add in our webinar system. And once we've set up the action, we can then click Continue. And what we now have is a case where an individual is set up in Eventbrite. They're then added to our Mailchimp list. They will then be added to Wishlist Member, and they will add it to an educational webinar. Welcome back. Now, one of the things that we want to be able to do with our autoresponder is to show our customers as many offers as we can as soon as we can. And we can do that effectively using some of the tools inside of Mailchimp, as well as using tools that we have with Mailchimp when we're working with website themes and cloud-based services. So to start, one of the things we want to do is to consider our settings. And for example, we want to be able to look at our settings. And when we look at these settings, we want to determine if a person is going to be a double opt-in subscriber or not. Now let's assume that for this audience, we are going to have this person that becomes part of our list to have confirmed their participation in our newsletter with an opt-in email. If we do that, we are then going to want to go to our forms, and we're going to want to control the experience. And so to do that, we're going to go to our sign-in forms. We're then going to go to our form builder. Now once we're inside of the form builder, we can then go from the sign-up form to the confirmation thank you page. And what you're going to notice here on that page is that when the individual gets an email in order to confirm their participation with our newsletter, they're then going to be sent to a web page that has this information on it. What we can do instead is we can send the individual to a specific thank you page where we can show them a URL that we want them to see. And it's this place where we can then show them a specific offer. So let's assume then that we have a specific sales page. So we're going to get the URL from that sales page. And what we're going to do is we're going to place that URL here in this box, and we're going to save it. And what we also have control over is the sign up thank you page. So for example, if we go to sign up thank you page, basically what's going to happen is that when an individual places their name and email address inside of our form, we can then show them to a specific page. Now they will then have to go to their inbox in order to confirm their email. Now what we'll need to do is we'll need to place in a page which is basically going to be a thank you page, which first tells them to go and confirm their email, but also we can show them something where they can have the opportunity in order to make a purchase in case they decide not to confirm. Now you can do this inside of most page builders. In particular, we are looking at the page builder Optimize Press, and we're going to use the features that Optimize Press gives us in creating a thank you page. Now once again, you can do this inside of any page builder where you have a thank you page given. We're going to click Use this template, and we're going to write in a specific URL. And we want verbiage that is similar to this, where an individual is going to confirm their subscription, and then they're going to be told to check their email for confirmation. Now what we can do on this page is that we can add in information where individuals can find out more from a specific URL where they can make a purchase. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a hyperlink. And we're going to put in the URL where our offer is. And so we have our hyperlink. We're then going to click Insert. And we're going to make sure that this verbiage is going to be visible. So now what we have is we have an individual who is going to see that they need to go and check their confirmation, but they're also going to be given an option to click on a link where they can get access to a particular offer that we are making. We're then going to click Save and Close. And so now that we have this page, we're going to grab the URL that we just created. And we're going to place that URL here inside of our builder, and we're going to click Save. So now, when the individual places their name and email address in, they're going to be shown the thank you page with our additional offer. However, all of this is contingent on the fact that we are going to have a double opt-in case. What would be the process if we change this to a single opt-in case? And that now means that our individual does not have to confirm their participation in our newsletter. So what we're now going to do is we're going to save these defaults. And what we're going to do is we're going to work with our Mailchimp list, but we're going to work from within our page building system. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to connect our Mailchimp account to our page building system. So we're going to go here to Email Marketing Services, and we're going to go to Mailchimp. And what our page building system wants in order to connect with our Mailchimp account is going to be our API key. So we're going to go back to Mailchimp. We're going to go to our account settings. We're now going to go to the extras, and we're now going to go to our API keys. And we're going to create an API key. What we're now going to do is place that API key inside of our page building system. And our settings have now been updated. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our new opt-in information with our Mailchimp account. So what we're now going to do is we're going to create an opt-in page. Now once again, the point is not the page building system. You can use your page building system to do the same thing. You'll just need to find the parameters just like the ones that we are going to be using here in this example. We're going to use this particular template, and we're going to give this page a name. We're now going to click Create Page. We're now going to select our guide. And we're now going to look at our opt-in box. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose a specific kind of integration. And we're going to now choose a Mailchimp integration because Mailchimp is now connected to our page building system. What we can now do is we can choose a specific list inside of our Mailchimp account. And we can choose the list that we have been working with. We can decide that we are not going to be working with double opt-in. So what we're going to do now is when the individual gives us their name and email address, we can then give them a specific URL that we determine is a thank you page. We can paste this URL in this dialog box. Now with this particular page builder, we have two choices. We can put in the thank you page URL, which we can leave with a particular offer, or we can send the individual direct to the offer. And so in this case, we are going to send the individual to a thank you page with our link there. So what we're now going to do is we're going to change this button to the link where we want people to see. And we are now going to make this a live page. What we now have is our URL now on our thank you page. So now we can take this URL and place it back inside of our opt-in form. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to place that thank you page URL inside of this box. So now when the individual opts in, even though they are not going to be double opt-in, and even though they're not going to have to confirm, they are going to see another offer given to them on this thank you page. Now there are other opportunities on the form builder. For example, if we go to the unsubscribe success page, and we look at that particular form. If we go to this builded part of the form, when the individual is successful in unsubscribing, we can send them to a specific URL. Now again, you'll probably want to determine what this URL is and whether it is going to be fitting for you to show them a URL with a specific offer. However, you do have control over the URL that you're going to be sending them. So if you did want to show them a specific offer that would be related, you could place that URL here in this area and then click Save. Now, when an individual unsubscribes, you do have the opportunity to send them a goodbye email. So basically what you can do here is you can then enable your goodbye email. And you can write in the information that you want to be here. Now again, you may want to think about whether you actually want to send an offer when someone has unsubscribed and they're getting a last email from you. However, you do have control over what you send in this email. And then click Save and Close. So with the signed up forms and the confirmation, you will have opportunities to show individuals other offers that you may not show them otherwise. Welcome back. Now it's possible that you may not want to use a website or your website for your activity with your email and your Mailchimp account. If that's the case, you can use some of the pre-built web assets inside of Mailchimp. What you're going to do first is you're going to go inside of your campaigns area. Once you're inside of your campaigns, you're going to look on this left side menu and you're going to see this area that says landing pages. You're going to click on top of landing pages. And if you have not yet created landing pages, what you're going to do here is you're going to click Create a Landing Page. What you're then going to do is give your landing page a name. What you're then going to do is select a specific audience. You're then going to click Begin. You will then get a disclaimer about stock images and copy. You're going to click Accept. Now you're going to notice that you're going to have some templates here that you are going to be able to design. Now we're not going to spend a great deal of time designing these templates. So we're going to start the process by going to one of the designs. We're going to click on top of the template. That's then going to give us this area. What you're going to notice is that we have our logo that's already there. And then we basically have a landing page where we can then collect an email address and then subscription. So we then have control over this page. What you'll then want to do is to preview the page, and then you'll want to leave preview mode. If you want to add anything to the landing page, you can do it. If you want to change the style of the landing page, you can do it. What you're then going to do is click Save and Close. You're then going to give your landing page a title. We have given ours a title, so we're going to save it. You're then going to have your URL for your landing page. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our audience is going to be specific. And what we're going to do is we're going to give our landing page a specific tag. So in this case, we have added in a tag. We're going to add in the page landing page tag. So now every individual that comes through this page is going to be given the tag in Mailchimp of landing page tag. We're then going to click Save. Now we're not going to publish this landing page yet. We're going to go and finish the landing page later. What we're now going to do is we're going to create a specific campaign, and we're going to create it based on what we've done here with this specific landing page. We're now going to go to our automations. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a specific automation. And we're going to create a classic automation. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to have emails sent when a subscriber is going to be tagged. And we're now going to call this landing page tag. and we're going to have the individuals come through a specific list. So now we have a specific automations campaign set so that when an individual is tagged with a specific label, we're going to have that individual sent a specific email. So what we're now going to do is we're going to edit this tag, and we're now going to select the tag, and we're going to make it landing page tag just as we created, and now update the trigger. So now, one day after this individual becomes part of our email list through the landing page, we are going to have them tagged, and we're now going to have that individual sent a specific email. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click Next. We're now going to design the email based on this template. And now we're going to write our email. But now what we also want to do is we want to make sure that any other automated campaigns that are going out to this specific audience, we also want to make sure that this individual that comes through this page also gets that campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to some of our existing automations, and we're going to edit them, and we're going to make it so that the individual that comes through that landing page with this tag also gets those campaigns also. So we're going to edit this follow-up campaign. And we're going to go to each of the messages, and we're going to make sure that the new tag is added. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add in a tag. We're going to choose by segment or by tag. We're going to make sure the contacts match the following conditions. We're going to make that condition a tag. We're going to make it the existing tag. And we're also going to add in the tag that we just created. And we're going to save the segment. And we're now going to do that with each of the messages in this follow-up campaign. We're going to make sure that this second message now has both tags, and then save the segment. We're going to make sure that message number 3 has both tags, and we're going to save the segment. And what we're now going to do is resume our campaign. And our campaign is now restarted. So that now means that we can set our landing page to live. What we can do first, though, is we can set our landing page email now to start sending. And now what we'll do is we'll now go back to our campaign section. We'll now go back to our landing pages. What we will now do is we will turn on our landing page. What we'll do now is publish the page. And now our landing page is live as well as our automated campaigns. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another process.